This video is brought to you by Squarespace. In a home coffee market that's seemingly dominated by low-retention single-dosing grinders, the folks at Eureka took a bit of a risk when they looked at the market and they said, nah, we're gonna do a hopper. On the surface, the Libra looks a lot like many of its other Mignon relatives, with its tall rectangular body, single adjustment dial, and that telltale squared-off hopper. But what makes it a truly unique option for most espresso aficionados at home, at least in terms of their workflow, is the addition of their new instant grind weighing technology, which according to Eureka allows you to simply program your desired doses, pop in your portafilter, and have it grind to that weight within the accuracy of a quality single doser. So in this video, that's what we're going to look into, on top of an overview of its features and design, how it performs in terms of both grinding and in the cups it produces, and of course, its quirks and downsides. And as always, in the spirit of full disclosure, Eureka sent me this grinder for my review, and they agreed to my terms of no access and control over the content of this video. And with all that out of the way, let's dive into it. One of my favorite things about the whole Mignon line of grinders is their simplicity, and I think that goes sort of part and parcel to their classic Italian design without feeling dated. Starting from the top, you've got the classic Mignon hopper that fits roughly 300 grams of coffee depending on the bean size. The beans are then fed down into a set of Eureka's 55mm flat hardened steel burrs. Those are powered by a 310 watt direct traction motor that spins at 1,350 RPM. This speed then pushes out roughly 1.5 to 2 grams per second depending on grind size, which is adjusted via the classic Mignon stepless knob. In terms of noise, the Libra runs right about on average with most prosumer home grinders, in the mid 70 decibel range. The portafilter forks are easily adjustable by unscrewing the set screw and moving the base up and down. And it's designed to fit a variety of options, both bottomless and spouted, and even with a dosing funnel. Last but certainly not least, the touchscreen saves 2 customizable pre-programmed doses, and has a continuous grind option for those who like to live dangerously. Now, I've had the Mignon Libra for just about 3 months, and the reason I've sort of pushed this review back some and spent a little more time with it is to thoroughly test its grind by weight program and put it through its paces. I wanted to see just how accurate it truly was, and if I noticed any sway or faults. And to be honest, I didn't. So the big question about this grinder's main feature, the grind by weight, and how consistent or accurate it is, the answer to that is very. Over time, I made adjustments to the doses, switched back and forth, used different coffees, all while pulling random samples to check for accuracy. What I found was it was always within 0.2 grams, but about 80% of the time, it was even less. So any questions regarding its accuracy or consistency in my eyes are answered. But wait, there's more. When it comes to the Libra's dosing interface, I was pleasantly surprised with how straightforward it is. Just select the single or double shot icon, tap the plus or minus buttons to adjust the output, and you're set. You can also do continuous grinding by pressing both buttons at the same time. As I mentioned earlier, I've put quite a few different coffees from a variety of origins and roast levels through the Mignon Libra, and I found that it tends to perform best with medium to dark roasts. It consistently produced full, round, and balanced shots, pushing more of those heavier traditional flavor notes, like different forms of cocoa, dark sugars, and nuts. But when it comes to lighter roasts, it still makes good cups, but it struggled to really pull out those more delicate, nuanced flavors like the fruits and florals I want from those types of coffees. And finally, because undoubtedly there will be someone who will ask this question, you can make filter coffee with it, but I wouldn't recommend it. When I adjusted the Libra to coarser grind settings, the distribution was all over the place, with lots of fines and boulders that all are extracting differently and produce super inconsistent cups. So I'd say don't go chasing pour-overs and just stick to the ristrettos and the doubles you're used to. As much as I like this grinder, it's not immune to issues common to hopper-based platforms, the Mignon line, and even a few of its own. For one, because in hopper-based grinders, the beans are resting in the chamber with the burrs, it's often best to make adjustments, especially in the finer direction, with the burrs moving, and this can lead to some waste. And while we're on the topic of making adjustments, I gotta say that this tiny dial that Eureka uses on the Mignon line is a bit difficult to track, and it can be easy to lose your place. On the bright side though, because the Libra is really only truly designed for espresso, you shouldn't have to make those types of major adjustments all that often. Another issue I ran into somewhat sporadically was the portafilter placement being overly sensitive. Since the sensors in the portafilter fork are what reads the weight being dosed into the basket, the handle needs to be inserted just right for it to work properly. And it will sometimes decide you aren't doing it correctly, and you'll need to reinsert it over and over until it decides it's ready to grind. And then once it does decide to grind, those grinds themselves can be pretty clumpy. From the beginning, I did notice there is a significant quantity of small clumps produced by the grinder. So for the best possible outcome in the cup, it does need a bit of WD-T to smooth things out for a cleaner, smoother extraction. And finally, getting inside and cleaning it up is a bit more labor intensive than I'd prefer. I mean, it's not difficult, but there are a handful of steps and it does require a screwdriver. And because the burrs and the motor are on a platform where the sides are open, you'll need to break out some canned air or a small vacuum to avoid brushing grinds into the body of the grinder. Having used the Libra as my daily in the kitchen grinder for the past few months, I have to say the experience has been relatively flawless. It's simple to use, and its very accurate grind by weight dosing has been a nice vacation from the single dose process that has become more or less a daily staple. On top of that, I don't have many complaints about the coffee it produced. I mean, the espresso was nothing game-changing, and it does struggle a bit to get the most out of lighter roasts, but generally it produced well-extracted, nicely textured, and properly tasty shots. And most importantly, at least for the market I think this grinder is aimed for, it was extremely easy to use, basically just plug and play. For a grind by weight option priced at $800, its value is based in its convenience, and it's a bargain next to the commercial options with similar functionality. In the end, if you're a multi-person, multi-coffee household, or even just a solo heavy espresso drinker who can rip through a bag of coffee in a week, and you're looking to really just simplify your workflow, the MIGNON Libra is a really solid option. And with all that said, I think it's time I wrap this one up and pass the conversation on to you. What are your thoughts on the MIGNON Libra, and what are your thoughts on grind by weight grinders at home? Is it overkill or is it just right for certain circumstances? Drop your answers to those questions and any others you may have in the comment section down below. But if one of your questions is where you can build a beautiful website, Squarespace is always the answer. Using their powerful platform, you can build a community space to connect with your audience through gated members-only content, a storefront with real-time insights and extensions for simplifying inventory and bookkeeping, or even utilize their blogging tools to publish and promote on social media. So head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Sprometheus for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell button for notifications of new videos posted every Friday. Check out my Instagram at Sprometheus for content throughout the week, my blog at sprometheus.com, and as always, stay caffeinated. Pony Boy.